Ink runs from the corners of my mouth. There is no happiness like mine. I have been eating poetry. The librarian does not believe what she sees. Her eyes are sad, and she walks with her hands in her dress. The poems are gone. The light is dim. The dogs are on the basement stairs and coming up. Their eyeballs roll, their blonde legs burn like brush. The poor librarian begins to stamp her feet and weep. She does not understand. When I get down on my knees and lick her hand, she screams. I am a new man. I snarl at her and bark. I romp with joy in the bookish dark. The title eating poetry, of course, does not literally mean eating poetry, but this title likely indicates how some of us ferociously take in poetry for our own reading pleasure. In the poem, a man is found with his joy for reading poetry just unable to be contained or hidden from the librarian who doesn't understand the poetry or his joy for it. The metaphorical ink dripping from the corners of his mouth represents the emotions and joy that he receives from reading the poetry, because, unlike the librarian, he can actually understand what it means. Building off of this idea, the librarian herself represents more than just a librarian. She represents the group of people who don't like poetry because they don't understand its true meaning after the first read. Even the dogs coming up the stairs with their legs burning like brush is figurative language. They represent like-minded individuals who come and aid the man in defending his joy and understanding of the poetry from the librarian. The overall attitude of the poem from the man's perspective is eagerness and freedom and knowledge and understanding of poetry, while from the librarian's perspective it's simply confusion and frustration as others understand what you cannot. And finally, what I believe to be the overall theme of the poem is that there are the educated and open-minded who can read and understand poetry and truly enjoy it, represented by the man and the dogs, and there are the uneducated and closed-minded who cannot truly understand and enjoy poetry, represented by the librarian.